What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. Welcome in here live on our FTN Network YouTube page. Chris Meaney here with you. As you see, we're taking part in a live fantasy hockey draft right now over at NFHC. We are just getting underway here officially. I have pick number 4. I'm going to try to mute the draft sounds for you guys. I don't know if that was just in my ear or not, but away we go here. Sound effects we'll get rid of that. We'll mute them. And we'll just pay attention here when we're on the clock. So here we go. Welcome in. I see some people that are hanging out here live. This is the Rotowire Online Championship. Consists of 12 teams, 20 rounds per league, and it pays the top 2 teams in each league with an overall prize pool that includes a $6,000 grand prize. There's fab each week. Players set their lineups each week as well. The top prize here is $1,400. So 20 rounds. 7 forwards in your starting position and 3 defensemen. We got 2 goalies and 8 reserve spots. Maybe I will keep that sound on just because. Do you hear that?
You are up.
I am on the clock here now. So we'll pay attention to the draft, host the show. You have any questions? We're going to get going here. I'm going to go with Austin Matthews. I don't think there's of course, Connor McDavid is off the board here right away. And Leon Draisaitl would be number 2 for me. Nathan McKinnon would be number 3, and then Austin Matthews is 4. So those are the first 4, and that's typically, we'll get a look at the draft board here, is how things usually go. See if that draft board shows up for you guys in here as well. It should. Hopefully it does. I'm not seeing it on this end. I would probably have to share actually this screen. So we'll do that in a second. Again, some people are here hanging out. If you're unfamiliar with NFHC, some high stakes, some best ball formats there. They have a cool salary cap league as well. And the folks over at NFHC have told me that they have a promo code for the next little bit, FTN35. It's going to save you $35 on any Rotowire OC drafts. Sunday at 3 Eastern, they're having one. Another one at 9 Eastern on Sunday, Monday at 10 Eastern, and then Tuesday afternoon at 3 Eastern as well. I'm going to try to get in one of those as well. So here we go. We're underway. I'd like you guys to see the draft board as opposed to just this board here. You can see some of the picks that have gone here. It started off McDavid in this bottom part here. McDavid, Draisaitl, Nathan McKinnon, Austin Matthews to myself, David Pastrnak, Igor Shesterkin. Goalies will fly off the board early and often here, from my experience. Brady Tkachuk, Cale Makar, the first defenseman off the board at pick number 8, and then Jack Hughes there. I'm going to, like I said, I think I want to share the draft board with you. I think you'll get a little bit more out of that. So we'll stop for a second. We'll share. I got a bunch of tabs open. We'll get this draft board on the go. There you go. I think this is better. I think this is what you guys want to see, right? Yeah. Okay. So welcome in. See some people hanging out. Smash the like button. Any questions? You leave them here. Daily Handle, Jordan Allen is in the house. I mean, said everyone, happy Saturday. Watching some playoff baseball, I bet. Phillies, they're hot. They're hot. Brzee 91, happy Canuck Thanksgiving. That's right. Happy Thanksgiving to my Canadian family out there. Jason in the house, $35 off. I'll see you there. Absolutely. Let's go. I'm going to sign up for a couple as well. Again, just joining me, this is the Rotowire Online Championship. Consists of 12 teams, 20 rounds per league, and pays the top 2 teams in each league with an overall prize pool that includes 6 Gs. There's going to be fab every week. We're going to be talking fab on Mean Streets, Dangle Bet Celly. I have links inside the description of this video with my fantasy hockey rankings, and as well as, sleepers and busts and breakouts and strategy pieces, high stakes, best ball, all that stuff. It's there for you guys to check out. And we're going to do a couple more drafts here in the next couple of days. Been doing a lot of drafts here, getting it all in as the NHL season gets underway on Tuesday. So FTN 35. FTN 35. I'll type that in here for the people. I'll have it in the description of this video. That promo code will get you $35 off on a couple Rotowire OC drafts Sunday at 3 Eastern, 9 Eastern on Sunday, Monday at 10 Eastern, and then Tuesday afternoon at 3 Eastern. So let's take a look at this draft board because I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I've done too many of these high stakes leagues and streamed at the same time. So I want to we got to get on the same page here. We want to draft a really good team. So let's dissect what's going on here. Oh, team 12 goes back to back goalies. Interesting start there. Okay, Georgiev and Jake Ottinger. The draft again started no surprise with David Draisaitl, McKinnon, Matthews, and Pasternak. Those were those 5 guys in this format were the top 5 guys. In fact, Alex Ovechkin was right there as well with those guys in fantasy points per game. Shesterkin, first goalie off the board there, pick 6. Brady Tkachuk at 7. I mean, he touches a lot of categories, throws his body around, loves to shoot the puck. Captain of the Ottawa Senators, Cale Makar, first defenseman off the board, as he should be at pick 8 here. Jack Hughes, man, it was pretty fun last year getting Jack Hughes and Tage Thompson, in a lot of drafts. Now these guys are first round picks, although Tage first round in some formats. I haven't seen him in the first round of these ones just yet. Jack Hughes in for a big season. Devils are loaded on offense. Matthew Tkachuk there, Mikko Rantanen, and then the double goalie start with Georgiev and Jake Ottinger. I dig it. Gonna have the best 2 goalies in the league, that's for sure. And Georgiev had the breakout campaign last year, and he was phenomenal. And Jake Ottinger, I really like that Stars lineup, and I love him in goal. And you see Alex Ovechkin there with Mikko Rantanen, Ilya Sorokin. So there's a tier for me when it comes to goalies, and the first tier is it's gone. And I actually would include all those guys in the same tier: Shesterkin, Sorokin, Georgiev, and Ottinger. And then there's just the next tier for me would be Connor Hellebuck and UC Saros. I'm off Linus Allmark. I'm not totally interested. So we'll see. I may have to, goalies are going to fly off the board. You have to have a good one to be competitive. If you're going to take it all down, you got to have a couple goalies. But I have a couple that I'll try to get a little bit later on in the middle rounds. We'll see what happens here. But I'm thinking coming up, I probably won't address the goalie position. I'll share some of my secrets. I don't know if anybody's hanging out in the draft and whatnot, but there's a couple people here. I'd be happy with any of these players that are coming up here on the board. Tage Thompson, the guys that are available here: Tage Thompson, Tim Stützle, Elias Pettersson, and Timo Meier. We'll see if I can get one of those guys. Should be able to. We got Nikita Kucherov, Mika Zibanejad. Those that are unfamiliar with the scoring, it's not your straight up typical head-to-head format, with plus minus and things like that. We don't talk about that stuff in fantasy hockey. Come on. Goals, 2 points, assists, 1 point. Power play goal is a point. A shorthanded goal is a point. 0.25 for a shot, a hit, on a block. There's added scoring bonus for defensemen this year. I typically avoid them. I don't like to spend early, but this puts them back in play. You get half a point, an extra half a point for a goal, and then 0.25 for the assist. You get 0.15 for a save, 4 points for a win, -1 for a goal, 2 for a shutout, and you also get 2 points for an overtime loss or a shootout loss there as well. I'd be really, really ecstatic here if I can get the start that I want, and it does sound like I'm going to be able to get the start that I want, which is great. We're going to go Tim Stützle here with pick number 2. Between him and Elias Pettersson for me, Timo Meier is a big volume shooter. He loves to shoot the puck, but I just have this thing for Tim Stützle. I think he's going to break out in a whole new way. I think he could hit the century mark in terms of points. We know Pettersson did last year. Can't go wrong with either one of those 2 guys. And I like Timo Meier as well. I think maybe a touch early. I think he's going to touch early. I think things will be better for him this time around. When I say this time around, last year in New Jersey, he was just there for a minute. It takes some time to get going. I don't know if it's a lock that he's going to play with Jack Hughes. I think he may play with his fellow Swiss countryman. And you can't read the player names. Let's see. Is it dark? Could I switch this to dark mode? It's too bad that you can't read the names. I don't know, dude, if I can, and I'm not really sure. Let's see. Definitely want you guys to be able to see the draft. Settings. Yeah, I don't know. You can't see that. You can't see the colors. Probably not. If I zoom in on the board here, no chance. I can't really zoom in. What if I zoomed in here? You see that, but you can't see the entire board. So that really doesn't help you too much. But I could see that on my screen. Hopefully, you guys can as well. We're here into the third round. Let me guys know if you can't. I'm on the clock here, so let's man, goalies are really flying. And by the time it comes back to me, it'll be another tier. So I will have to address the goalie position. I think, JT Miller's a really good fantasy player. He touches a lot of categories. I think I'm gonna roll with Ilya Samsonov here. I'm gonna get myself a goalie. I think it's pretty important. It is an uncomfortable feeling, to be honest. I don't love to take them too early, but you got to have them. You got to have them to compete. You're seeing teams, take two, pretty early on. And I think once, you see this first couple of rounds, everybody will have a goalie here. I am not rocking a Leafs jersey. If that's what it's an old school Habs. It's an old school 1909. It's got the random C on it. It's old Carey Price for my boy, because I'm not going to be able to see him play ever again. I don't think so in the NHL. So, okay. Alan, let me know. Can you see the board? Can you see the draft board? You having a hard time seeing it as well? We can roll through it like this. The first round, McDavid and Draisaitl and McKinnon and Matthews, Pasternak in there. The Bruins are going to take a bit of a step back this year. I don't think there's really any question about that. But Pass is still a shooter. I'm not worried about him at all. He's going to shoot the puck. He may not score 60, but he's going to get a ton of ice time, and he just loves to shoot the puck. And you know what? He didn't really play with Bergeron. Of course, in the power play, losing Bergeron, losing his centerman Krejci there's going to be an adjustment period. But he did play a lot of hockey with Zaka, so there could be some overlap chemistry there. Igor Shesterkin, Brady Tkachuk, Cale Makar, Jack Hughes, Matthew Tkachuk, Mikko Rantanen, Alexander Georgiev, and Jake Ottinger to Team 12 here. Ovechkin, Sorokin, Robertson, Kaprizov, Tage Thompson. Look at that start. Brady Tkachuk, Tage Thompson, and Mika Zibanejad. Igor Shesterkin, Roman Josi, Mitch Marner. We got a Pasternak, Hellebuck, Erik Karlsson start here. So Karlsson, the third defenseman off the board, hit the century mark last year. First defenseman to do that since Brian Leach, I believe, in 1990. Certainly the 90s. He's, it's not a given that he's just going to have 100 points again. I mean, remember when he went to Carolina and everybody was thinking that, he would, him and Brent Burns, I remember, it was Burns defenseman one and Karlsson defenseman two, but they cut into each other. I think that Letang and Karlsson could cut into each other a little bit. Karlsson's going to be fine. Point per game guy, 80 points for defenseman is fantastic. But I think the ice time comes down a little bit. He probably doesn't block as many shots. He's not asked to do as much, but certainly surrounded by better talent there with the Penguins core, reaching near the end of, the Malkin and Letang and Crosby core there. But I really like a lot of the moves that Kyle Dubas did, bringing some of those Pittsburgh Penguins players, some, guys that have won cups, and Riley Smith and Lars Eller, and, some decent defensive players. Nola Chari throw his body around and Eller in there. Ryan Graves blocks some shots, big defenseman. So Karlsson there with that pick. But of course it was the other way, like after what the order of that, let's see, Tage Thompson, Roman Josi, Connor Hellebuck, Tim Stützle to myself, Elias Pettersson, UC Saros, Nikita Kucherov, then Dahlin. So Dahlin actually the third defenseman off the board, then Timo Meier, Linus Ullmark, Ilya Samsonov to myself, Erik Karlsson as the fourth defenseman off the board, Mitch Marner, Mika Zibanejad, and Vitek Vanacek, JT Miller. And then here we go with Connor Bedard in the third round. Still a touch too early for me. Ahead of a guy in Braden Point, who, Braden Point is a 50-goal scorer, 100-point player, roughly. I could see over John Tavares, but ahead of Crosby, ahead of William Nylander, ahead of Kyle Connor. If you like them, you got to get them, right? You got to be aggressive and you got to get them. But I think a touch too early for me. Dougie Hamilton and Miro Heiskanen to wrap up the third round. George is behind the scenes. George, can you see? We're seeing a comment here from people. I can't see the draft board. The other screen was difficult. This one, you can probably see the draft board now, right? Yeah, I think what I did is I was sharing the player board that I'm looking at here now. And I think now you could see in front of me, I can see It's tough to see, I guess, a little bit because the names are super small. When I zoom in like that, it's probably a little bit better for you guys. But we'll continue to walk through this draft. Interesting start from Team 12. 2 goalies and 2 defensemen. Okay. Um, Definitely not for me. I tend to get in trouble with defensemen, but there's always a couple that I feel like I can get late that I like. And, I'm hoping to get shares, and we'll talk about those players throughout the night. So there's only so many goals in the league. Like, I got to get shooters. Like, I'm already a little bit uneasy with the start that I have because Samsonov is in pick 3. Passing on some good forwards there, but we'll see with a lot of defensemen going here. I should be able to get a couple other forwards like Tristan Jarry. So these goalies they're flying. This won't happen in your regular redraft league with your buddies. It just won't happen. Okay, I got you now, Jax. My bad. Too many bats for me. You can see now the other board was tough. Yeah, the other one was tough. You couldn't read the names, but you can see the draft board now. The other screen was difficult. So Tristan Jarry going that early to me, what is it here? Goalie 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I definitely like Gustafson more than him and Demko more than him, who just went. Goalies, they are absolutely flying. I like to go the other way when the draft room does this, but I've tried it a couple times, and your draft could just feel like you're done. Like it could be finished for you. I did a best to get one, and I was getting a guy outside the top 15. He is a target of mine. We'll see if I might have to address it here pretty soon. Like team 1 doesn't have a goalie yet. Team 2 only has one. Uh, you can't beat it. The position is so voodoo. You hear it all the time, but I think that's why it's important to be aggressive because there's only a handful that are elite and there's only a handful that are going to get a bulk of the starts. There's a lot of committees across the board. It's kind of like fantasy football. There's a lot of running back by committees across the board. That's why, those bell cow running backs go early in the first round. So you can get yourself into trouble by getting a goalie that's only, going to project for half the starts, maybe lose his job. All these goalies that have gone right now, they are starters, except for Vanacek. I got this weird feeling that he could lose his job. It could turn into a 50-50 split there. I think Schmid's a better goalie than him. He had better 5-5 numbers. He was better down the stretch. He was certainly better in the playoffs than Vanacek as well. I was never really a big Vanacek guy in Washington. He had a couple nice moments there, but the Devils are so good 5-5 that he doesn't have to do too much to keep his job and get probably like 65% of the starts. Devils are going to score a lot of goals. They play a great brand of 5-5 hockey, and they don't give up a whole lot. But don't be surprised if Schmid overtakes him. I don't have really any shares of Vanacek in some best ball formats, but I got more Schmid than anything else. We're on the clock. We should pay attention, right? So we'll do Vasilevsky here actually, because there's a ceiling here, and he's going to miss a little bit of time, but he's better than these other goalies that are flying off the board here. So a little bit outside the box. This is a different start for me. You have to do that with some of these drafts. You have to think outside the box. We're definitely going to have to get that bell on the go. Yeah. Do you hear that, George? You hear the bell? We're in the ring. I got to pay attention. Right? No, it's not a Leafs jersey. We already discussed this. This is Habs. It's old school 1909. It's like the C. Got the C here. It does look like a Leafs jersey. I get chirped all the time. Wear this in Toronto one time for a Habs game, and everyone's like, "What is going on with this guy? Price Leafs jersey? What is that?" Okay. That's not gonna lie. That pick kind of threw me off just a touch. The Vasilevsky pick, but partly not paying attention and partly panicking there. But I don't hate it. It's a long season. I'm gonna have to draft a third goalie. He's gonna be out for a couple of months. He could return early, but we'll see what happens. It's not a bad 1-2 punch. Samsonov was actually a top 5 fantasy goalie, and he's going in some drafts outside the top 10. Ooh, I am on deck. Okay. I still am gonna bypass defenseman. Sergachev's a pretty good option there. a better season than Victor Hedman, actually. He had more ice time. In fact, Sergachev really set career highs across the board. Played more on the power play, and Victor Hedman played 2 fewer minutes per game. He lost that top spot on the power play. I think the better option is Mikhail Sergachev, but I'm going to bypass him. I got to do this probably for my guy EY here next. I like to draft shooters. I like to draft shooters early and often. I think goalies are hard to come by, or goals are hard to come by. There's only so many of them. And, maybe it's the shot prop in me, but you get more points for goals. You're getting points for shots. I don't like to draft pass first guys. I avoid guys that don't really like to shoot the puck. In stacks, it's a little bit different, but we will roll here with Kyle Connor for my guy EY. Yeah, PLD, he's on the bus list there, George. So I don't know if we'll be doing any Pierre-Luc Dubois. There's the parlay. Man, that was jokes. Steve Dangle getting slapped by EY. I'm not gonna lie, this is not the start that I was hoping for. This is Matthews is on the squad. He's fine. He's all right. I mean, he's definitely my 4th overall player. He loves to shoot the pucks. Tim Stützle, was happy with that. I didn't love the fact that I had to get a couple goalies here. There's still one that, I probably should have took over Vasilevsky. Would have been a little bit of a safer play there. But the thinking is, what I will say about Vasilevsky is, and don't let this, I'm not trying to come across, in a bad way here, but if you are comfortable with your fantasy hockey skills and, you can work the waiver wire, or you're comfortable with your drafting, you could do something like this. If you were just getting your feet wet into fantasy hockey and, playing for the first time, I think you want to avoid guys like Vasilevsky or Brandon Montour, or maybe even some of the rookies. Connor Bedard is fine, but maybe some of these, like, I don't know, like Adam Fantilli, I've noticed is get reached on a little bit. Logan Cooley, like, these are fine players, but they are rookies after all. But more so like a Vasilevsky or a Montour, where, setbacks could happen. You want to avoid, certain things like that, where for me, it may just jump back in my face and bite me, but also I feel like I can get another goalie that can hold the fort down. And then once we get into, like, this is a 6-month season here. Once we get into December and Vasilevsky's ready to go, we're ranking this guy. If it was weekly rankings like fantasy football, we'll be doing weekly rankings and rest of the season rankings, for free, and waiver wire stuff here every Sunday at FTN, talking about Rotowire leagues or high stakes leagues for pickups. Vasilevsky's a top 5 goalie when he's healthy. Tampa's taken a step back. They're losing depth every single year. And I don't even know if they're a playoff team this year. But when Vasilevsky is playing, he is an elite goaltender. So I guess I'm talking myself into it. It's okay. It's fine. We got through it. But there's still a goalie out there that I really like as a top 10 guy and hasn't gotten drafted yet. How many goalies are taken here? Shesterkin, Georgiev 2, Ottinger 3, Sorokin 4, Hellebuck 5, Soros 6, Allmark 7, Samsonov 8, Vanacek 9. We got Jari at 10, Gustafsson at 11. That's a nice Gustafsson, I think, is top 5 upside. 12 Demko, 13 Skinner, 14 Vasilevsky to me, Anderson 15. I mean, Anderson is going to miss time too, right? Anderson always misses time. Vasilevsky probably played more than Anderson. Hill in there, and then Markstrom. So yeah, I mean, outside the top 15. And if he's there for me, I'm not going to take him. But if he's there for me, in this upcoming pick, it's gonna make me a little sour. But we're all good here. All right, we're coming up. We got Hyman. Sveshnikov's another guy. Don't really know the timetable on him. Best ball is a little bit different. You make a case for anybody. Vasilevsky's going a little bit higher in best ball formats, but you get yourself into some trouble if you're drafting a few guys that may not be ready to go to start the season. Aaron Ekblad. I just saw Sam Bennett is going to be week to week here to start the season as well. Jared Spurgeon, an injury week to week. There goes Sergei Bobrovsky. So that wasn't the goalie that I was thinking about. So still got some some decent options out there. Coming up for me, some thoughts here. There's a lot of players I like in this range. A lot of good ones. I mean, Zach Hyman averaged 2.9 fantasy points per game in this setting, which is more than anybody left. And you got some players that are better than him behind him, like Ryan Nugent Hopkins coming off a 100-point season, Rupe Hintz, Adrian Kempe, like these, Jake Gensel, Clayton Keller, Cole Caulfield, like all of these players are a lot more skilled and have a higher ceiling than Zach Hyman. But, you're getting points for a lot of different things here in these categories. I mentioned shooting and goal scorers. There goes Hyman. He'll touch a lot of categories for you. And the Oilers they're just unbelievable. Operated at their power play 32%. There goes Darcy Kemper. And nobody likes this goalie that I like. Maybe it's me. Maybe I shouldn't like him. I think he's a steal, and I'm sour that I went the Vasilevsky route and he wasn't available for me. But we should have had the sound on. Who would I have taken over Vasilevsky there? Maybe Forsberg or DeBrincat, Braden Point. Some good options there. Nonetheless, we'll be fine. I would be happy with any one of these. I really want two of these few guys, if I can, would be fantastic. I'm going to avoid defenseman again. Quinn Hughes is not great in this format. I mean, again, with the bonus, the half point for the goal, the 0.25 for the assist, it will bump these defensemen up overall, and the gap won't. For example, Radko Gudas had more fantasy points per game than Quinn Hughes in this setting. Like that's not right. You know what I mean? Because Quinn Hughes is a guy that finished second, third among defensemen in points, and Radko Gudas is not getting any points. He's just throwing people through the boards. He's blocking everything. So you get points for the hits and the shots that way. But Quinn, you'd be surprised. In this format last year, he finished as the 34th ranked defenseman. 34th. He goes as a top 10 guy, top 12 guy. That's where you just kind of need to separate fantasy from real life. That's where fantasy hockey, I think, is a little bit different. It's not your standard scoring like football. We know if you're good in football, you're good in fantasy. If is what it is. You're getting catches, you're getting points, you're getting touchdowns, you're getting points. You're skilled. You can't really fake it. There's no average wide receiver that's just, good in fantasy. That's not good in real life. You know what I mean? Like hockey, when they incorporate, if you're just playing in a league with goals and assists and points, Quinn Hughes is a top 5 guy in that format among defensemen. But if you're playing in a league with that accounts for shots and hits and blocks, he's not as valuable, right? And I'm not saying that you just completely avoid him, but you can't be just taking all those guys in that format, like especially in a rotisserie league. You can't just take guys that won't hit. Like you're going to take a Mitch Marner, a Kyle Connor, a Cole Caulfield, a Johnny Hockey. Like all those guys are good, but you're never going to get any hits. And a lot of those guys that I mentioned are pass first players too. So you're going to be lacking in shot categories. So like guys like JT Miller, Brady Tkachuk goes early. Like a buddy told me the other day, I can't believe Brady Tkachuk went 6th overall in one of my leagues. It's like, well, he finished 4th overall last year in a league that accounts for shots and hits. Like he touches those categories. So the boost is good for the overall kind of landscape of these defensemen. We won't see Radko Gudas, have a better year or a better fantasy campaign or, in this format be better than Quinn Hughes. So I like the addition that NFC made here with the extra bonus points. But Adam Larson's another guy. Jacob Trouba. Like we all know that Adam Fox is better than Jacob Trouba, right? There's really no debate in that. But one guy finishes a top 15 defenseman, the other guy finished outside the top 25. And the guy that finished outside the top 25 is Adam Fox, right? And I'm not saying to draft that way. I guess more so telling you that there are some players that are underrated that don't just hit the score sheet that can really help you out. Adam Larson, Radko Gudas. These are certain players. Charlie McAvoy, again, is finished outside the top 25 last year, behind Hampus Lindholm. So that's why I avoid some of these defensemen. So we're going to go forward again. And this is going to be really tough for me. Really, really tough for me. Adrian Kempe, Clayton Keller, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Oh my goodness. If I had an Oiler, stacking is not everything, but I definitely like to, if I had McDavid or Draisaitl, I'd lean Ryan Nugent-Hopkins there. I think Clayton Keller is just in for such a phenomenal season, but I will lean with Adrian Kempe here. Probably fewer points, more shots, and definitely more hits. And I just kind of stay true to my brand. Like these are my guys. Like George, how many times we talk about these guys? Like Kyle Connor, Rupe Hintz, Adrian Kempe. These are just Austin Matthews, Tim Stützle. I just got shooters. I got shooters, and I love it. Clayton Keller, I do want to give him some love. He is a target of in mine in a lot of drafts. It's just the way it fell, and I know I won't be able to get him now, but over the last 2 months of the season, 5-on-5 numbers, Clayton Keller was only behind Nathan McKinnon and David Pastrnak in goals and assists. That's elite company for Clayton Keller, who is really underrated because he's got a coyote on his chest. But Arizona they're on the up and up. I mean, Steph would be happy. I mean, his Coyotes may be all right, in NHL Dynasty. There's a lot of good players on Arizona. A lot of people are picking them to make the playoffs. I don't think I'm there yet. I don't really love the defense, but they're certainly an improved squad. You add Gunther and Logan Cooley, Celly, Krause. There's a lot of this nice young players. They added Sean Durzi, who's in for a breakout campaign. They added Jason Zucker. And I really like Barrett Hateman. I hope to get him in this draft. It's a great stack, Clayton Keller and Hayton's a great stack. Hayton, post sleeper. What do they say? Post hype sleeper. I mean, this is a guy who's first round pick, top pick, and people are already calling him a bust. Sometimes it takes time. These guys just can't be McDavid and Crosby. It's just people may freak out if Bernard doesn't have a good first year. I think he will. I think he'll score 25, 30 goals, have 65, 70 points. Got to get to Chi-Town to watch him play. I've been watching a lot of his preseason games. He's getting a lot of shot attempts. He looks good out there. He's pretty small. It's going to be tough for him in adjustment period. I mean, he's a child, as George likes, or EY likes to say, can't even get a drink at Applebee's. It's EY's favorite line, I think, to say on Dangle Bet Celly. He just always brings it up. He's not wrong. These guys can't even get a drink at Applebee's. Once he scores his first goal, he won't even be able to have a drink. And he reminds me of Crosby anyways. I don't think I'll ever see him drinking. And Crosby's we'll share the stories for another day. Nothing bad to say about Sid the Kid. He's one of the GOATs for the reason. Dedicated brand. There goes Raquel. Let's take a look at the draft board. I haven't really been looking at the draft board here. Okay, so, oh, wow, Swayman too. There's the guy I was talking about, Korpisalo. I have a lot of shares of Jonas Korpisalo. I think he's a really good goalie. He is Ottawa needed this. They needed a goalie. They're starving for goaltending. They made a bad trade in getting rid of Gustafsson for Cam Talbot. That was a bad trade. Gustafsson's such a good goalie, but they got one. They paid for him. He's going to get a bulk of the starts. I think he's going to rack up a ton of saves as well. The Sens, I really like Ottawa. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I like their top six. Getting Jacob Chikrin last year, and Jake Sanderson is a nice young piece. I think it's going to ease off Thomas Chabot just a touch. He's just had too much ice time over the past couple of years and suffering injuries, so they can ease off the load for him. If Josh Norris is healthy, they have a loaded top six. And Korpisalo, even though I mentioned those three defensemen, Korpisalo, he's going to see a lot of rubber. There's still some holes defensively. Those points do pile up for you. Just the other day, he was playing in Halifax. It was a fun little environment there at the Metro Center. Drake Batherson, played his hockey. Actually, my hometown, just outside of it, my beer league rink anyways. Played some midget hockey there for the Wildcats. He's a breakout candidate too. Batherson, and then Crosby, of course, is a Scotia boy. It was a bump in atmosphere and 40 plus saves for Korpisalo, and he just looked sharp in that game. And I know it's his preseason, but he's a good goalie. Like he was a big reason why Columbus swept Tampa that year, that they had that big run. And he was good for the Kings too. Like, not fantastic in the playoffs. Play the Oilers. Oilers going to score on you. But he was good in in a short sample size there for LA, but they just don't have the money, right? They decided to get George's boy Pierre-Luc Dubois instead of getting some goaltending, and it may hurt them, but they are pretty deep down the middle. I think they're one of the deepest teams down the middle. Like PLD, I know we laugh about him here on the show, but he is a good player, and he's going to be their third line center. Like you could say he's their second line center, but Philip Deneau is going to get ice time because he's one of the better defensive centers in the league, and so is Kopitar. So they're three deep. Kopitar with Kempe, and then Fiala with Arvidsson and Moore, and then Fiala with Pierre-Luc Dubois. Deneau with Arvidsson. Kempe with Kopitar. Okay, big defenseman run here. I think I'm probably the only one without a defenseman. Yeah, looks like it. It's all good. It's okay. My suggestion to you guys maybe would be to try to get one top 10 guy, maybe one top 12 guy. But there's some defensemen out here, like I talked about the strategy, that I'd be perfectly fine with getting. I might pull the trigger here soon on a couple. I'm going to share too many secrets here, but we will as the players get drafted, and we'll talk about the ones that I do like. Yeah, Evan Bouchard's one that I like. He's going pretty early. Like just the fact you got to take these guys, over some elite goal scorers makes me feel a little uneasy. Brendan Montour goes third here for Team 6. Brendan Montour could be out from anywhere from November until January, but still a solid little player there. Nichushkin, Batherson, we got some of my targets there. Jacob Trouba, we could go a defenseman route. I think I'm just going to continue to hammer the forwards, and I'm going to go with Valery Nichushkin. So just continuing to take shooters on high-powered offensive squads, and I dig this. I will have to take probably a third goalie here, of course, without Vasilevsky. I'm going to have to get one here to hold the fort down in the next little bit. There's some goalies that are left here: Carter Hart, Devin Levi, Logan Thompson. Logan Thomas is catching passes from Sam Howell that Jahan Dotson isn't. Belmecca, Cam Talbot, Bennington, Phoenix Copley. We have Schmid there. So there's some options. We're running out. We're definitely running out of some options. So I will have to address it just because Kuiper's in. Kuiper, I don't know if you're watching the stream or not, but I see you in the group. I always do bad in this format. It's a donation pretty much anyway. He's a good sport. I saw him tweet. He's on the clock right now. I saw him tweet at me like this contest. He said, any prizes if you win. I told him I'd get him anything at FTN or any one of, if he won the league. Actually, just if you beat me, I would buy a hockey jersey of the MVP on your fantasy squad. That goes out to anybody in this league. Anybody in this league that's hanging out watching stream, just let me know. Hit me up. You kick my butt, which you probably will. Just hanging around. Let me know your MVP and we'll get it done. There it goes. Pierre-Luc Dubois. He just went. Just jokes. I will have to get a goalie. I'm going to take a high upside goalie here in Devin Levi. Okay. All right. I don't mind this. We can roll with Levi here for the first little bit until Vasilevsky comes back. I'm probably the only one with 3 goalies, which is, again, when you do this with, Vasilevsky, it tends to hurt you just a touch, right? You see across the board, 2 goalies, team 1, 2 goalies, team 2, team goalies, 3's got 2, 5. Yeah, everyone's got 2 here. Nobody has 3. I'm the first one to get 3. It's a long season. Injuries are going to happen. Again, it's not the strategy that I was thinking I was going to employ here. I was thinking that I would get one top 10 goalie, and I did in Samsonov, and then I would get another one. And that other one, really, if I could turn back the clock, not hearing that I was up, moving Vasilevsky, getting one of Braden Point, DeBrincat, Forsberg, and then being able to get Korpisalo there, although I would have had to get him in the next round on the 5th. He would have just went right in front of me there at team 5, but it's okay. We can make this thing work. Zach Werenski's a great target. He's buried down the Yahoo and ESPN boards. I have no idea really why he is. I think maybe just because he didn't play a whole lot. Like Yahoo tends to forget about certain players like that. So him and Philip Forsberg are, I mean, you got to go way down, way down the draft board or the ADP to take a look at where he's going. And people are just snoozing, they're forgetting about him. So don't forget about Philip Forsberg. He's still has 30 plus goal upside. New coaching regime there. He's going to be just fine. And Zach Werenski, I was looking at some preseason statistics because I'm just a true psycho. And Zach Werenski, he doesn't have any points yet. I think he may have an assist. He may have picked one up there the other night. He had like 19 shot attempts, which was among the leaders. He's a defenseman, and he's got a lot of ice time. And I really like this Columbus team. They're improved. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Our guy Troy will tell you they're going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. But some really nice young pieces, Marchenko and Ken Johnson, and they got NFHC, and I was surprised that he fell to them at 3. I thought he should have been the second overall pick in the NHL draft. The Ducks decided to go another way. Getting guys like Provorov and Severson to shore up the defense a little bit. I'm not sold on their goaltending. Elvis has shown us that he's had some moments, but he's also shown us that he can't really handle full workload, and some injuries have kind of piled up for him. But he certainly has had some moments, and if he can stay healthy and give them 60 games, they'll compete. The Blue Jackets will compete. They'll score some goals. It looks like we got a motivated Laine. Boone Jenner's a great, captain in your face type guy. Babcock in and out, right? Babcock in and out. Man, you guys hear about that? Babcock, like, what in the hell? He didn't learn anything from being away from the game for a little bit. This guy tried to reportedly ask the players, wanted to see their phones, wanted to roll through like the pictures and things they had on the phones. Like pure bats. Like, come on, dude. What do you want? What are you hoping to see from 19-year-old Adam Fantilli's cell phone? Like, that had to have been so awkward. And I think it was Fantilli, according to reports, was the guy that was, had to drive to his house to show him his phone. Imagine, like, I don't want to see Patrick Laine's phone. Like, and Patrick Laine probably doesn't want, anybody to see his phone too. Like, where's the privacy there? It's like Babcock is, he's a point emoji, and he's not going to be in the NHL again. This guy won't be coaching again. That was his shot. He had his shot. I can't believe he got another shot. He got it, and he got bounced. See you later. Just like that. In and out. You blew it, bud. You blew it. And in fact, the organization should get some heat too. Like president, GM, they should be taking some flack for this. They actually interviewed Babcock and decided it was a good idea to hire that guy. Anyways, Blue Jackets are better off without him, and they're going to be just fine. They're on the rise. Get some nice, appealing players here. At some point, I'm going to have to take a defenseman. We can't avoid them forever. This is probably the time. I see some forwards that I like there, but maybe I can get a couple on the way back. We're definitely done with goalies. I didn't expect to have 3 goalies here 10 rounds into the draft. It's not really my style at all, but here we are. And of course, I had to get Vasilevsky on the stream. Yeah, give me the point emoji. I had to get this guy on the stream, right? I'm trying to give some good advice. Take a sip of vino. Geez, we're 45 minutes in here. This is gonna be a long. It's gonna be long. I think we're about halfway done. Headset may die soon. What do we got here, man? I think we've seen some people finally take third goalie. We okay. If Levi can hold the fort down, nice rookie goalie. The Sabres are going to score 4 goals a game for him again. He just has to be above average. He's going to get some W's. People may think that this is a reach. What's the ADP on him? 126? It's not too bad. Man, this is my guy. And, I'm not even up yet. So we'll wait. We'll wait. Too many glasses of vino for me. There's a lot of good defensemen in this range that are better fantasy assets than you may think. And you guys are seeing the draft board, so you can't really see, but I'll rattle off a couple here in a second. And I like to live in this range for like, there goes Johnny Hockey there. So I'm going to take Michael Matheson. This isn't a homer pick, although, probably because I watch every Habs game, I could see what he brings to the table. He's healthy now. He returned, pick up a couple points here tonight. Beautiful goal by Suzuki. Oh, baby. Matheson, in the draft kit, I have links inside the description of this video for sleepers and targets and breakouts and things like that. Matheson is a guy that over the last 6 weeks of the season, amongst defensemen, he was top 10 in points and shots and shot attempts. He was 4th overall in the NHL in ice time. Yeah, he's going to live in that range again. I'm sure the Habs would like to get him into the 22, 23 minute range, but they got a lot of young defensemen. He's going to own that first. He's such a phenomenal skater. Like, he is a really good puck moving defenseman and a good skater. So he can move the puck up. He can bring it up if he wants to. And he loves to shoot. And it just checks a lot of boxes for me. First power play, check. Usage, check. Shooting, yes. Habs being not great. Blocking shots, check. There's all that stuff here. So I'm going to dive back in probably to another defenseman because we'll be really, we have to do it. We've avoided it too long. We'll go double D here. It doesn't, that's okay. I kind of tend to do that. Maybe I'll get a top 12 guy and then dive back in, because by the time it comes around, the tier is gone. Drew Doughty is another one here. So I have a lot of shares of Drew Doughty. And did I not get him? Wow. Carter Hart. Bats. How did that happen? I'm just doing too much chit-chatting, and it just took the first guy. Oh, this is a disaster. We'll just have to delete the whole show. This is an absolute disaster. Carter Hart is not somebody that I want at all. Wow, my goodness. I got to pay attention a little bit more. To the draft and not hosting the show. Okay. We got 4 goalies. We won't be taking another goalie, that's for sure. I can make this work. We'll make this work. We'll definitely have to get my sleepers. George is losing it laughing. Why don't you put yourself on? Jump in here. Jump in here and give me the bats. He says, no, he's laughing too hard. Drew Doughty was the defenseman I was hoping to get there. All right, so I'm with you, Kiefer. Just donation here at the moment. Let me know what jersey you want. I'll buy it for you right now. For those that are just maybe jumping in, again, we got a promo code for you guys, FTN35. It will save you guys $35 on similar draft, right? They're doing 2 more on Sunday at 3 and 9 Eastern, 1 on Monday, and then another one on Tuesday. The one on Monday is 10 Eastern. The one on Tuesday is 3 Eastern here. So I'm going to have to get a couple more under my belt because I didn't want to go down like this. Most people will take 4 goalies. And, it's not the end of the world. We could still make it work, but, oh, man. There you go. Thank you, George. There's the promo code there for you. I don't know what happened there. I think I was ready to take my guy, Drew Doughty, and I think I just ran out of the time, and it just took the next highest guy, according to ADP, because you can see if you go to all here, you guys can't see this, but I go to the draft room, I go to all, it's all goalies, right? And these goalies do typically fly off the board. So we're going to start to get some guys in the queue here, so we don't fall into that trap again. We can't take a 5th goalie, my goodness. I'll lose all credibility here. There's still some good defensemen out there that will take. Drew Doughty will be gone most likely. Luke Hughes, nice rookie defenseman. I think I feel like I'm watching the end of the world. I'm burned. I'm upset with how it's the Carter Hart pick really upsets me here, Jason. So this draft is just ignore that pick. Ignore that pick. Cross it off. It's not something to do. You don't want to be taking 4 goalies this early. Let me look at the draft board here overall. Let's see if we can seek out some values here for you guys. I already feel like I won't win this league from how things are going, but I really do like my forwards. Matthews and Stützle and Connor and Hintz. We have Kempe and Nichushkin in there. Samsonov and Vasilevsky is a really good one too. Levi is a high ceiling goalie there. that I expect to get a bulk of the starts. Nice young prospect, and then Carter Hart. Carter Hart will. That's the waste, right? Like this guy's never going to get in my lineup. The Flyers are awful. He had some moments last year where he was okay, but you're only playing two of these guys. There may be some times where if run into injuries, he may come up. Big for me. Owen Tippett goes there. Love Tippett. Really good target. I think he's a guy that touches a lot of categories. He's in for a lot of ice time this year. His first full season with the Flyers last year. I think he's going to be locked into the first power play all year, but it's possible. You can move into the second. Sean Couturier being healthy and playing is really good for the Flyers too. He's a really good player we haven't seen over the past couple of years. A good, solid two-way forward. Makes everybody around him better. But Tippett he's a strong target. He's going to shoot a lot, and he likes to throw his body around. I like him a little bit more than some of the players that have gone ahead of him. Like Boone Jenner's good in this format too. Throws his body around. Natchez is a good upside play. I actually like Tippett a touch more than Marsh. So big line for the Marsh. Big game for the Marsh So line tonight. Jack Hughes and Barbashev. Toffoli's a good target in there as well. There's a lot of good players, of course, that are in this range between 9 and 12, like some shooters. In here, Panarin. This is probably where Panarin should go. You see 10th round, pass first guy. He's a great player. He's like a 90 point player. But in this format, he's not really. He'll go a little bit earlier in your redraft leagues with your buddies. He's nothing really bad to say about him, but he's not going to shoot a whole lot, and he doesn't touch those other categories for you. The power play points would be there. A nice fine player, but this is the range that he should be going in. Good Johnny Hockey, right? Some of these pass first guys, Jesper Bratt, he's having a heck of a preseason. This is a good range here. I usually don't have these guys on my radar. I like Bratt more than the other two. I am on deck, so let's pay attention. It looks like I can get Doughty here at the next pick, which will be jokes. It's always I think it's a good feeling when you want to get a guy and you're debating between two, and all of a sudden he's there for the way back. But it's also like, hey, maybe I shouldn't like this guy. The rest of the draft room doesn't like this guy, but for me, I'm pretty confident in Doughty's ability. And Durzee's gone there in LA. He's going to quarterback the power play. I deserve that. He just went in front of me, so I deserve that. Right in front of me, classic. Good stuff there. Good stuff. We're having a great time here on a Saturday night. Man, Morgan Riley's not even a fantastic fantasy hockey defenseman, but at this point, we're gonna have to get some bodies here. I'm not even locked. I don't even know if he's locked into a number one power play spot. Like he should, but Klingberg could get that role. Got a little Matthews and Riley here is a decent little 1-2 stack. I would have much rather have Drew Doughty. I think he touches a little bit more categories. He shoots the puck more, throws his body around. Morgan Riley had a heck of a playoff. He had a really good playoff. It felt like a different player. He was moving up and down the lineup. He was shooting the puck. He had a couple goals. I'd like to see that Morgan Riley in the regular season. He really just kind of flipped the switch and away he went. What's this? T handle? What's that? Jump in the stream. Who is that? TD handle? Oh, can't hear you though. Yeah, I can't hear you.
I'm in here. The Daily Handle's got to jump in the stream because he knows what he's talking about.
Who's that? You?
The Daily Handle with Jordan Allen.
Oh yeah, I think Allen's gone. He's had enough of this. Jordan Allen said, "I had enough of this, man. I'm not hanging out here anymore with you talking hockey and messing up this draft left, right, and center." We're gonna take another defenseman. I have just screwed this draft up. I see you laughing at me.
No, I'm not laughing. I don't. It's not bad. I mean,
it's not sometimes good.
I told you I'd never talk to you again if you didn't take PLD, but here we are.
Yeah. Well, people don't need to say it again. I don't need to say it again. I've heard myself so many times.
I'm honestly just on here for whoever's watching, so that you actually believe that I'm behind the scenes and Meaney's not just talking to himself. So, hey guys.
Those that know, they know you. They know you're a key part of the show.
Here we go.
Hit you with bats. Yeah, we are into round 13 here. Rotowire Online Championship number 29 over at NFHC. We talked about the promo code earlier. I just saw a bunch of people, jump in here early. Don't judge me. The Carter Hart pick was a mistake. I was chatting and chatting. And then I look and I'm like, oh, great. I'm on the clock. I'll make my Drew Doughty pick here. And then boom, Carter Hart. Like it took the next highest ranked goalie. So that's completely my fault. It's all good here, but I just want to get that home line. People that are watching me, like, what are you doing? Like, what kind of strategy is that? We decided to punt defenseman. I would have felt a little bit better there with Riley. I could have did something real nice here. I would have actually probably went 4 in a row, with Matheson and then Doughty and then Morgan Riley and Sean Dursey there. I think I'm okay. Like, I don't have a top 10 guy. But I think Matheson is top 15 upside. I think Riley and Dursey actually have top 20 upside. Dursey's he's in for a breakout campaign. He's going to be the QB1 there in Arizona, quarterback that first power play is out of the Drew Doughty shadow. His defensive game is lacking, but he's going to
explain that 11th round pick Carter Hart in football terms. It's as if you took
like that would be as if I took a third quarterback, like for example, in a 1 quarterback league. It would be, people take a second quarterback, which is really not needed, especially if you take a top 5 guy, you don't need it. Yeah. It would be like, I guess even you could say Superflex taking a 4th quarterback that early. Like, I don't like to really have 4, like 3's fine. Just there's no, like Hart will never play for me. It's just a wasted effing pick.
Well, it's not a best ball draft. You can, it is a best ball.
Best ball would probably be better.
Probably, yeah.
Best ball would probably be better because he just have some, like, it'll have moments. But, me starting my lineup every single week, I'll be rolling out Samsonov, I'll be rolling out Levi. And then once Vasilevsky plays, that's it. I got into this situation with Vasilevsky too. Like, taking him was also something that I didn't have the sound on for that one. I had the sound on for the Carter Hart. The Carter Hart is more just being like a dumbass.
On a scale of 1 to 10, being 10 the most cringe factor, how hard was it for you to click Austin Matthews first?
Yeah, that's a good question. Not that hard. It's all good. I don't. I'm not that type of guy. I don't like the Leafs at all. I can't stand them.
It's all about winning.
Yeah, it's all about winning. There's money on the line here. Matthews ceiling. This time last year, people were drafting Matthews over McDavid, and I thought that was silly. And it's not even a debate anymore. Like, it's just McDavid had an unbelievable season, but Matthews he's got, like, he could finish 2nd overall this year. It's gonna be fine. Like, I wouldn't be shocked. He's got 60 goal upside. We've already seen it. He loves to shoot the puck. There's the Johansson. That one would have been a little bit smarter for me to kind of roll with Johansson, who's the current goalie for Tampa now. Like, that one, if they took me Johansson instead of Hart, I wouldn't even hate that one because I could roll out Johansson until Vasilevsky came back. But it is what it is. We'll make this work, and we'll follow this league. We'll follow this league all year, but we'll be active on the waiver wire, and we're all right. We're in a good spot here. I really like my forwards quite a bit. Looking at other teams here, you got 2 goalies and 3 defensemen from team 1. You got 3 goalies and 3 defensemen from team 2. Team 3's got 3 goalies and 3D. I got 4 goalies and 3D. Team 5 has 3 goalies and 3 defensemen. Team 6 has 5 defensemen and really lacking forwards. So Team 6, it's not a strategy that I love. I like my shooters. Marner, pass first guy. Barkov, pass first guy. Gensel's a shooter. He's only going to miss the first few weeks. Panarin and Bratt, pass first guys. So, probably best defense in the draft with Yossi leading the way. Werenski's a great pick, but really lacking up front forward wise. I'm coming up here. I'm on deck. I don't want to be rude to anyone's teams or anything like that, but we'll identify maybe some potential sleepers and.
You should be rude.
Worry.
There's a different side of me no one actually knows.
I'm not going to be rude to anyone's teams, and I'm not going to be that guy. It is what it is. But I will identify sleepers and guys I think are going early and good picks. So we'll get back into the forwards. We've done a lot of goalies and defensemen lately. It just feels good to get back into the forwards. There's a couple guys here I'm thinking about as I am on the clock. Tarasenko just went. Mentioned Sean Couturier. It's nice to see him get drafted here in this format. Really good player. Jamie Benn, man, he's been a bust for me a couple of years, but last year was a really good year for him. I think I will reach a touch here and continue with the Leaf theme here. Look at me. I'm rocking the...
There you go. You're rocking a jersey.
Tyler Bertuzzi is another target of mine. I think he's going a little bit late. Don't look at the Detroit numbers. The sample size is very small with Boston, but when he was with the Bruins, he was playing with skilled players and he was putting up points. Like I think he had 11 in 7 games in the first round of the playoffs. He's almost a point per game guy, and down the stretch when the Bruins acquired him, I think he's going to play on that first line with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, and that is just that is a win for him. Don't disrespect Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond, but these are gonna be the best players he's ever played with, and he's a guy that will also throw his body around, shoot. The one thing I will say is probably won't get PP1 time because the Leafs are so loaded. They'll probably roll with Matthews and Marner, one of the defensemen in Riley or Klingberg, and John Tavares will be on that PP. It's possible they had William Nylander on that second unit. They could put Bertuzzi in there. Hey, if the Bruins did it, the Bruins are loaded too, and they put Bertuzzi on that first power play unit. They put him right in front of the net, and they just loaded up with Pasternak, Bertuzzi, Marchand, Bergeron, and sometimes Krejci. Like sometimes they didn't have McAvoy in that first unit. So it's possible he can get up there, but that doesn't bother me anyways. He's either going to play with Matthews or John Tavares. Going to score a lot of goals.
So is it finally the Leafs here? You think? Is it finally the Leafs here?
It might be, man. And I've never said that.
Pretty loaded team.
They are loaded. Look at the draft board here. Did we just get a run of defensemen? Yeah. I just had Forsberg in the queue. Or Forsling. It is what it is. We're going to take my boy, Suzuki. Get a little Suzuki and Matheson in our lives. Oh, I mean, the draft's like Nick. The draft's already over, right? With the Carter Hart pick, it's already over with. So I might as well just take players I like that I have soft spots for. I actually feel like this team is okay. I'm not going to get into it too much of the goalie. The defenseman, we're going to be lacking defensemen, but there's a couple others that we can get here. But I think I have some pretty good forwards. Yeah, I've never said that, George, before about the Leafs, but it does seem like just with Boston's going to take a step back this year. Tampa is getting older and they continue to lose depth. Florida is going to be fine, but they're going to be without, their 2 best defensemen for potentially the first 2 months of the season. So they could start slow. Bobrovsky's not going to be as good as what he was in the playoffs, but I think when they get everyone back, they'll fight. Ottawa's taken a step forward. Buffalo's taken a step forward. Detroit has improved, but the fact that the big dogs like Tampa and Boston are going to decline, this is it. The Leafs are locked to make playoffs. Like it's not about the regular season for them. It's about the playoffs.
There's something to say about expectations, though, and the pressure. Like, look at the Bruins last year. I mean, just breaking records, and then they go out in the first round. Like, there's something to say about that. And the Leafs haven't been exactly ones to respond to pressure, when their expectations are high. So,
no, they're fragile.
Yeah,
they're pretty soft. They're a pretty soft squad. But they got over the hump last year. They finally won, right? So that was good. Even though they got outplayed in that first round, they found a way to win the games that they normally don't win. Like there's been a lot of times over the years where they just deserved better and never won. And then this year, they won a couple overtime games that they just had no business winning. And, at some point you're going to get the puck luck. But I really like their squad this year because I think they're built for the playoffs. Like I don't like the Ryan Reeves signing. He's a fighter that's not going to be useful for you in the playoffs. But getting some grit, trading in these other guys that I felt like were soft, like Kerfoot and Bunting is a head case. Now they bring in Tyler Bertuzzi, get Max Domi. He's going to be a fan favorite there. His dad Ty was, he's going to be just giddy up and go all the time. They got a nice young player in Matthew Nyes. There's a lot of, I hate to say it. And a lot of these guys are on 1-year deals too. So there's something to be said about that contract. EY talks about it all the time. These guys are fighting for a next contract, fighting for money and putting food on the table for their family. So typically you hear that contract year all the time. I don't buy it. Doesn't mean it's a lock, but it is a thing in certain sports, especially individual sports where you can take over a game like the NBA or hockey. You know, you tend to bring in a little bit more. Maybe you play through a couple other injuries, whether that's a good thing or not.
Case in point,
the Leafs. Yeah, right. Case in point, Joe Burrow. The Leafs, the Devils, and the Hurricanes. Those are the top 3 teams in the East, I do believe. In the West, I would say the Oilers. The Golden Knights are still going to be there. The Oilers, the Stars, the Avs you can never count out. I like the Kings too. Your boy, PLD. You getting a Pierre-Luc Dubois jersey?
If they win the cup, I'll get one. I promise you that. I do like the Kings jerseys.
They might.
Love the Vegas jerseys.
Hey, the Vegas jerseys are awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting here to the end of the 15th round. Marc-Andre Fleury, pretty good value there for Fleury. Like, he's going over some guys. Like, I would definitely have him over. I know Gustafsson. Minnesota won't do this next year. They won't go one goalie. You know, they went back and forth all year, and they overplayed their hands into the playoffs, doing things like that as well. Gustafsson was so good. That one game he was so good against Dallas. I think he made like 50, 60 saves. It was triple overtime, and then they started Fleury. And they said fatigue, but hey, Ottinger played, and that got them, you know, that hurt them. But he's still a pretty good target here. I could see him having better seasons than a lot of these guys that went ahead of him. Schmid's a great pick. Love this pick here in the 11th. I think he's sneaky.
Markstrom went pretty early. What's your take on Markstrom?
Yeah, where did
down year? He went in the 5th round?
Oh yeah. I just don't think he's good. I mean, he's having a shaky preseason again. I don't know if his year will be as bad as last year. And he's in between. Like 2 years ago, he was awesome, and then bad. So he's in between that. It's definitely good that Calgary decided to move on from Sutter. I mean, last year Calgary was a team that hardly gave up any high danger chances, any shot attempts, any shots at 5-5. Their defense is really good. I mean, they're a good defensive squad, but they just didn't get the saves. There's goalies I like Korpisalo more than him. I like Aiden Hill more than him. I like Levi more than him. I just don't have a lot of Markstrom shares. Goalies that I like here a little bit later on. I mentioned Korpisalo. I have a lot of shares of him already. I think he's a top 10 goalie. He went outside the top 15 here. I like Ville Husso. I like him for Detroit. I think they are improved, but he's just a good goalie. He's like quietly good, sound in between the pipes. I like Phoenix Copley here. I like him more than Cam Talbot, and I finally saw him go ahead of Cam Talbot. Close, right? They're just separated by a few picks. It'll probably be 50-50. I just believe in Copley more, and Talbot's he's been hurt a bunch. He got shelled tonight. Levi, worth a shot. We took him. Obviously, we took him. We got every other goalie. But Levi, worth a shot upside. Love the Schmid play. Even though I like Aiden Hill, and I'm fine with this. It's a touch early, I think. Logan Thompson, I think, is a good pick, too. Aiden Hill won't be as good as what he was in the playoffs. It's probably his net, but it could be a 60-40. So Thompson's a good target a little bit later on. In leagues with you get rewarded for more points for saves. Here's my boy Jamie Benn. He has a really good fantasy season, right? He hits everything, and he likes to shoot. Oh, we're flying through here with some picks. Merzlikins is good in a certain format in points leagues. I'm up just like that. Man, Sean Couturier is still there. Josh Norris is such a wild card. Connor Brown, I like. Do I take another defenseman? I probably should. D'Angelo, Radko Gudas. I mean, I don't like to take those guys. Let's take an upside play here. Let's see. We could do upside play, home power. Oh, do I roll the dice, man? Josh Norris, like, he could really be a game changer. He really could. Let's take another defenseman. I'm going to take an upside play here in Owen Powers, his first season last year. We are lacking some defensemen, so we got a high upside guy here. He's never really going to get top power play. Like, Rasmus Dahlin is certainly the guy there. But he's a good player, good skater. The Sabres can score. We should be able to see another step from him as my fourth defenseman. That's okay. He could pan out.
No Darnell Nurse, huh?
He went. I think he went. He went pretty early. Yeah, not super early. Lost the spot in the first power play. It's Brian Bouchard. That's the guy there. But there goes Radko Guise. Probably the better pick.
Never mind.
Yeah, he definitely throws his body around quite a bit and shoots a lot. So he's pretty
shots. Yeah, that was a moneymaker for about a year and a half. Right?
Was it ever? And then he lost his power play spot, so he doesn't shoot anymore. Now the guy to get at the start of the season will be Evan Bouchard. He's going to be the guy for us. I may reach. Did Connor Brown just go?
Yeah, he went in the previous round.
He just went right after me. That's who I was debating. Duchesne. I'm gonna reach again according to ADP, but he's just going too late. This is gonna be a guy that we are talking about a lot this year. This is gonna be one of my guys this year. Gabriel Velarde. He is the guy that Winnipeg got for Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I like it. Let's go. Yeah, Jets fans, get to know Gabriel Velarde. He's in for a career season. Daily Faceoff has him slotted in as the second line center. I think he's going to play up front with Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele. I think right away, like get him on that first line with skilled players. Get him on that first power play. I mean, he was on the first power play for the Kings at times before they got Fiala. He's got a heck of a shot. Yeah, he's I don't want to say that he's going to be like this year's Tage Thompson, but in the article I gave a few candidates, and he's one of them. He's one of the guys that I think could be a Tage Thompson this year, and just shooting and not hitting a ton, but he doesn't shy away from that sort of stuff.
So speaking of young guns, give us your take on that flop Bedard penalty.
Yeah, I didn't see that fully see that. I just heard about it.
Yeah, it was bad. Everybody's losing their
get tripped
mind.
up on the shootout.
Yeah, he got tripped up a bit. Yeah,
and then Taylor Hall did too. It was an embarrassing moment for him, but Fleury tripped him up.
No, he didn't.
That was the penalty in overtime? It was a penalty in overtime or close to it.
Yeah,
Bedard, I think.
Yeah.
Are you gonna go watch him play this year or what?
You got to come down. You got to Cole Kmet.
I do have to Cole Kmet. Let's take a look at the rest of the draft board. Let's see. Just keep an eye on other teams here. So we got, 4 defensemen. Most people taking 4th, 5th defenseman. We still got one with 3. I will probably take another here, and then I'll wrap up with like 2 more forwards. Get a 5th defenseman. Looking at this team, I will recap it towards the end. But the biggest takeaway, of course, will be that extra goalie. Maybe waiting it out a little bit too much. Like if I could rewind back a bit, I'm thinking about Werenski over Levi. I'm probably not doing Vasilevsky. So we got burned with Vasilevsky. We had to take a 3rd goalie pretty early. But you see other people here leaving with 4 goalies. Means got to head to Shy. Oh yeah, he's back in George. Thanks, but I'm not in the league, and my hockey knowledge isn't PTP.
I mean, if your hockey knowledge isn't PTP, then I don't know what to say about mine. Primetime trash.
Yeah. He Daily Handle knows. He won't give himself.
Yeah,
he knows.
You know your stuff.
I got a lot of guys here starred that I like as some late round. There's gonna be some good players that don't get drafted here in this format. Not quite deep enough. 20 rounds. Let's take a look at the draft board again. I got a few minutes to talk about some of the picks here. Kalen Addison's a good one. I was kind of hoping to get him a little bit later on. He's, Matthew Dumba gone, John Klingberg gone from Minnesota, and Jared Spurgeon hurt. He's going to get a lot of ice time. He looks like a really nice player, but he's not going to touch a ton of categories either. But you like that you can get somebody this late that's going to be on that first power play for the Minnesota Wild with Kaprizov and with Matt Zuccarellas and Matt Boldy. So you do like that. And he could evolve, maybe he shoots the puck a little bit more. He's not a bangers type guy, but you're getting somebody pretty late here. That's a good pick from Team 11, Michelle Therrien, not coaching anymore, just drafting fantasy hockey players. There goes Logan Cooley, And Zona back-to-back centers there. Nick Schmaltz, actually on the wing. Logan Cooley there. Hopefully there's another Coyote that doesn't get taken in the next few picks that I can take. Arizona, man, they're on the up and up, but too bad they play in the tiniest barn ever. You should move them back to Quebec. Actually, don't, because they'll be better than the Habs immediately. That would be bad. That'd be bad. Let's see. It's some other late round targets here. Josh Norris in the 17th. It's worth a shot. With some bad vibes I'm hearing about Josh Norris. Really didn't play a whole lot last year. Multiple injuries. A bit of a setback last week. Watching a bit of the Habs and Sens game tonight. There's talk about some concerns. Really no timetable for him. But when he plays, he is. I drafted him in a bunch of spots last year and I got burned. So it's not why I'm not taking him this year. I do like him in this range, and he was on my radar. I don't think you need to fall into that trap. You get burned by a guy, you need to avoid him next year. Usually, if you got burned, like there's value with the pick the following year. Connor Brown is a good pick here. Team 3 in the 16th round. He's one of my sleepers. He actually played with Connor McDavid for the Erie Otters. Those guys were on a line together for 2 years. They combined for over 400 points. And it wasn't just McDavid. Like, Brown did his part. He had roughly 200 points. He was great. And unfortunately for him, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. But Oilers went out and got him. It was basically the only move that they got. So they're very familiar playing with each other. I'm not saying he's going to be a 70, 80 point guy, but he could be a 50 point guy if he plays, 70 plus games. He's not going to play on the first power play, but man, if he plays with McDavid or Draisaitl, he's in that top 6. He's going to fall into points. There's still some. I got some dudes here star that I'll share with people. Ellie Tolvanen, Wyatt Johnson, Kirill Machenko, Barrett Hayton. I'm hoping to get here. Matthew Nyes, another Leaf. I'm not going to go that route, but he's another guy. There's like too many Leafs.
Leafs. Yeah, stack him.
Yeah. Now I'm done with the Leafs. Like, that's enough. Right? 3 is enough. But Matthew Nyes is a really good target. I'm pretty happy to get Barrett Hayton. This may be viewed as another reach. You see the ADP 243, and we're on pick 213. My piece of advice is forget ADP. For one, there isn't enough hockey drafts. It's not like football. And I tend to throw football ADP out the window too. Big Leafs fan. I won't reach if there's you do enough football drafts, when you could get a guy a little bit later on, a couple rounds. But for hockey, I just think that I don't think there's enough drafts to really mess around with the ADP or where guys should be and where they should be going. Barrett Hayton was a top 30 player in the last 6 weeks of the season last year. He broke out, and on that first line with Clayton Keller, he touches a lot of categories too. He should go much earlier in leagues with faceoffs. He's going to win over 600 faceoffs. He's a shooter. He's linked to Keller. First power play. Skilled. Saw the breakout. Finally, just took a little bit to get going. Former first round pick. Really like Barrett Hayton. I'm getting a lot of my targets here in this draft. My blue line, my blue line is brutal. And my goaltending isn't actually that bad. I just have Vasilevsky, who I hope doesn't suffer a setback. We're gonna need a 4th defenseman or a 5th defenseman. We probably should. I might be able to wait. Actually, I don't see
Look at this guy. He says he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's giving you advice. There you go.
What's he saying?
You should take. I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name. Knees?
Oh, Nyes. Yeah, Matthew Nyes.
Look at me. I'm doing my best EY impression here. Watch his name.
I may take. Let's see. I could take Orlov. There's so much going on in Carolina. So much, but he's just such a good player. Cam Fowler is okay. I would do like Spurgeon, but I didn't like hearing that he's week to week. Not a big fan of the week to week. I'm on deck, so I may just go down the road and take another breakout forward. Who? Wyatt Johnson or Kirill Marchenko? Man, I love both of these guys. I'm gonna go with Marchenko. You know, Matthew Nyes is a good player. I agree, but I just got too much going on with Toronto. But he is. I don't understand why he's going so late. I don't think he's locked into a top 6 role though. I think when the Leafs get going, maybe they're probably better suited to have Max Domi as their third line center. As of now, I think they have Domi. Johnson goes right after me. Yeah, that's it's way too late. Like Johnson should be going earlier than that. He's just, I think he's nicked up at the moment. Man, he scored 24 goals as a 19-year-old kid, 19-year-old rookie, and he was one of the Stars' best players in the playoffs. He's a hell of a player, man. I think the Stars may win the Cup. I'm still torn who I'm going to lock in. I think I'm going to go with 3 futures for Cups for the Cup. I'm going to go.
I heard some New Jersey rumblings in there. Yeah.
I think Jersey. I think I'm going to go Jersey, Dallas, and then I need like a long shot. I have the Kraken in at 50-1, just from when the Cup odds released. They're probably going to regress a little bit. They led the NHL in 5-5 shooting percentage. So they'll probably.
I think there's someone at NHL Network that has the Stars winning the Cup, right? I think I saw that on Twitter today.
I'm not sure. I mean, we had a future in them last year, and they lost in the 3rd round to the Golden Knights.
Yeah,
which I should have been on Vegas. I've been on them every year. I was on them the 2 years before that, and they didn't even make the playoffs. So I was like, I'm not in on Vegas this year, and then they won the Cup. And I was happy for them. It was nice to see. Cool story. Loved it. But yeah, not surprised you're a big Kraken fan.
So all right? So while you have some time here before your next pick, are there any strategies in like fantasy hockey that are like similar to like football, for example? There's like a 0 RB, or like you just go wide receiver heavy at first. It's like, are there strategies you go into this to like give yourself some advantage? Because I'm sure people do many drafts, right? Not just 1, 2.
Yeah, I think there's a couple different strategies you could take where it's not so much like football, but you could, this one is punting defenseman here, which is not. I think if you're just getting into it for the first time, I said this earlier, you probably want a top 12 defense. We want to have a balanced attack here. But there are some guys that I like we got Matheson. I like Doughty. I missed on him. Missed on Werenski. So there's some guys that you can get a little bit later on that have that top 10 upside. You could punt goalies too. I just don't recommend it the way that these goalies fly off the board in these high stakes leagues. I think you're not going to be able to be successful. You could do something like that in best ball. I have talked about a hero center, like a hero RB strategy for underdog, because where that's a best ball format, it will only take 1 center. So your starting lineup will take 1 center, 2 wing, a flex, 1 D, and then a goalie. Okay. So you could potentially take 2 centers from your lineup, would be the flex. So it would be your center and then the flex. But where it takes 2 wingers and those centers get pushed down the draft board, I've been taking like a hero center. So I try to get if you get McDavid, Matthews, McKinnon, Hughes or Tage Thompson, you could roll with like the rest of the centers are not going to outplay that guy. Like McDavid and Draisaitl, these guys, if you're lucky enough to get them, they're always going to be in your starting lineup. And then you just attack the winger position for a while and then get back involved with a couple other centers. But for example, if you took 3 centers in the first 5 rounds in that format, like say you had, I don't know, Matthews and Rupe Hintz and Sidney Crosby, it almost felt like it would feel like a waste, kind of like one of those 2 guys, one of those 3 guys would never get in your starting lineup.
Right.
But I think the strategy that I would try to tell people, get a top 10 goalie, get a top 15 defenseman, and don't ignore players that touch a lot of categories. The Carter Hart strategy.
There you go.
I deserve that. I freaking deserve that. Let's see. What are we going to do with this final pick? Is it going to be Orlov? Do I wait on Spurgeon for a couple weeks? Probably need another defenseman. Or do we just take Matthew Nyes?
Do it.
That's too many Leafs. And some good players still out there. Blake Wheeler, Vrana, Tolvanen. I think I got to take another D. I think I'm lacking defenseman. Orlov, Brent Burns is 36 years old. Like Burns is still the guy there. He should still get PP one time. They got Tony DeAngelo there as well. They got a really good D core. But Orlov could find himself, at first when he went to Boston, nobody was assuming that he would get power play time or that he would play as much. Like he started on the third pair, but he was playing just as much as McAvoy. He's a really good defenseman. So it's okay. Got my 50 there. I think, what I will say about these leagues, and again, shooters is my strategy because you get more points for goals. You get more points for shots. You get points for goals. You get points for power play goals in this format, shorthanded goals in this format. I tend to get guys who shoot the puck. And if you are going to take a lot of skilled players in the first few rounds that aren't going to throw their body around, I think you want to try to make up for it a little bit later on. I can identify some of these players to just kind of roll through guys that touch a lot of categories here. We'll start here in the 7th round. Like Kempe will hit as well, and he's a shooter. Like Clayton Keller is a great target. Cole Caulfield, a great target. The Matt Boldy, a great target. These guys won't touch the hits, and that's fine. You draft them, you get yourself shooters, and you adjust a little bit later on, and you take other guys like Ricard Raquel. Loves to shoot, loves to throw his body around. He's a touch 'em all guy. Chris Kreider likes to hit, not as much lately. Pierre-Luc Dubois, believe it or not, likes to hit, but I just don't see how he's going to have the same type of season. In Winnipeg, he was the guy, first line, first power play. He's not even going to be on that first power play in LA. They're just too loaded, and they're deep down the middle, and Danault is going to play. Like Danault is just a good defensive player. He's a good faceoff guy, great faceoff guy. He's going to play. Like he's going to hop when they play against the Oilers and they play against teams with a good center. Like he's the guy that is the shutdown center. So he's not going anywhere. But Pierre-Luc Dubois does touch a lot of categories. Joel Eriksson Ek touches a lot of categories as well. He throws his body around. Drake Batherson likes to hit, and I think he's in for a breakout campaign. He's a big target of mine as a big shooter. Travis Konechny is underrated in fantasy hockey, plays for the Flyers, part of it, but he loves to shoot the puck. He's going to get a lot of ice time. I mentioned these guys earlier, Gaudreau and Panarin, good real life players, but in fantasy, I like where they went here. I think this is fair in the 10th round. They're going a little bit earlier in other formats, but good players, but not big shooters. Gaudreau had a couple seasons where he was. Maybe that comes back into his game this year, but Panarin's not. Elias Lindholm, he's going to get all the ice time he can handle. Is he going to get traded? I could see him flip to another team this year if the Flames start off very, very slow. But, missing Toffoli, poor Lindholm 2 years ago was the best line in hockey pretty much with Johnny Hockey and Kachuk and Lindholm. But now he's got to play with, I'm assuming he'll play with Huberdeau, but it's not a lock. Sharon Govich is going to be Mangiapane. He's going to be weak there, weak sauce. Mark Scheifele is an okay asset. Boone Jenner is a great touch-em-all guy. He does everything, loves to shoot, and he's surrounded by skilled players, power play time, and loves to hit. Vincent Trocheck, same sort of way. Jesper Bratt, very much like Panarin, but inside a loaded top 6. I do like the pick, but this is the example I was talking about, like Marner, Panarin, and Bratt. These guys are not as good in this format as you think. Marner's fine, but these guys are not. The other, there's other guys here, like for example, Jenner. I think he averaged 2.5 points in this format, and Panarin's like 2 points. Bratt's like 2 points. So there's something you have to kind of keep in mind. Matty Beniers, love it. Great breakout candidate. Jared McCann may come down a touch. He's a real high shooting percentage, but he's still a really good player and loves to shoot it. Dylan Cousins, breakout last year's good player. Claude Giroux still has it. We talked about Owen Tippett as a breakout candidate. Love him. Love Toffoli. He was on my radar. Man, he went real late. I like Toffoli a lot more than this. I like Toffoli more than Chris Kreider, for example. Chris Kreider is an 8th round pick here. Toffoli is a 12th. All Toffoli does is score goals. That's all. Wherever he plays. LA, Montreal, Vancouver for a minute. 30 some odd goals last year. He's just a sniper.
How about the airbender Trevor Zegras? Not Tyler, I'm talking about.
Oh, Trevor, yeah. Hey, Jason, thanks, dude. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you took some shots at me. Hopefully you got something out of it, man. Fantastic stuff there, Jason. And we'll see you in the draft room. If you're not already gone, we'll see you. We'll see you in the draft room, right? Use that promo code. And this might have been the draft you wanted to be in, because I think I hit the bed. We'll keep going here. Skinner's a good target. Loves to shoot it as well. Ehlers bounce back. It's got to be a bounce back for him, but I am worried about the Jets. Kuzmenko, nice campaign from him last year. Doesn't hit a whole lot, but man, him and Elias have some real nice chemistry. Tom Wilson's an okay asset in this format too. Didn't play a whole lot last year, but he's definitely among the leaders in hits. And Nelson's sneaky good. Bertuzzi we like that one. Buchnevich, kind of a pass first guy. Zegras, I don't know, man. Like he's certainly skilled. He's got more to offer. Just signed a bridge deal with the Ducks. And not really on my radar. Yeah, he's not really. I don't see him as a massive fantasy asset this year. I don't know. I'd like to see him shoot the puck a little bit more. Kadri, Hall's a great target. Hall was on my short list. Love it. I really like this team 12. It was a different strategy here. Started off Georgiev and Ottinger. That's arguably that's the best 1-2 punch. Got Heiskanen and Sider, so a little mixed, right? Heiskanen's a flashy 70-point guy. Sider's the grit, hits, block shots, underrated in fantasy. And then still made out okay here and drafted shooters. I like this team. Copley's one of my favorite late round targets. I like Vince Dunn. Got some shooters here in DeBrincat, Forsberg, Horvat, Raquel, Natchez, Toffoli, Kadri, Hall, Raymond, Domi, Burakovsky. Most of those guys are all shoot first players. Got some good D. Got 2 top 10 D. Dunn could be a top 15. Hronik is a touch them all, throw the body, block some shots. Drysdale, right, hurt last year, but flashy and some upside, PP1 upside, skill there, good flyer. Really like this team, actually. And it's probably, I haven't dove into too many other teams here, but it's got to be one of the better ones. Curtis knew what he was doing there, Team 12. Team 12, not bad. I think the difference between us, I think I got 2 good goalies here when Vasilevsky comes back. The difference would be the defense. Like my forwards are a touch better, but it's not that much better because he's got a lot of good shooters. But he's got good defense there. Continuing to go through here, and we're gonna get out of here. It's like 2 hours.
I'm gonna let you analyze this and remove myself.
Yeah, remove because you got some stuff to do. Appreciate you, George. Thanks, man, for setting this up. Love you, buddy. Have a good night. Yeah, we're gonna wrap up. There's a few people here, but I want to just wrap up with the last couple of rounds and continue with some targets. Kopitar undervalued, man, underrated. Nobody ever seems to want this guy. He's a 70, 80-point guy. I mean, he doesn't shoot a whole lot, but he should be going ahead of Buchnevich. He should be going ahead of a lot of these players. He's a good late round target. Suzuki, to myself, he doesn't shoot as much as I'd like to see him shoot, but back-to-back years, 82 games, improved on last year. Habs had the most man games lost. So if, some of the guys like Kirby Doc and Caulfield can stay healthy, I think he could flirt with 70 plus points. He had just shy of that last year. Career high, I think 26 goals. Sandin's a good target. Forsberg's a good one too. At least for the first couple months with no Ekblad and no Montour, he should get a lot of ice time. I think Oliver Ekman Larson will man that first power play, but Forsling will touch some categories. Mackenzie Weegar, former Panther, will touch some categories as well. Cam York's a nice little flyer, could get some PP1 time there for Philadelphia. Radko Gudas is, just a guy that's going to touch a lot of categories. Connor Brown, we talked about him earlier. The chemistry that he had with the Erie Otters and with McDavid, good sleeper. Troy Terry, 2 years ago, high shooting percentage, just came out of nowhere, and last year struggled, but was hurt. I think he's a good target. He's a good late round target. Patrick Kane, we just don't know where he's going to end up. And again, it goes to a team where, Kane at this point doesn't have a whole lot to offer, not going to hit anybody. This whole team is, it's not a rotisserie league, so it's okay, but very soft squad across the board. And I say that from just from a bangers league standpoint, like you're not going to get much hits and shots, with Marner, Barkov, Panarin, Bratt, Buchnevich, Kopitar, Patrick Kane, Lehkonen, Brock Besser. I mean, if he told me he was going to play 70 games, I'd say he'd score 35. Just some injury issues with him. Hurdle's getting overlooked. He plays for the Sharks. He's the guy to own in San Jose. Couture goes in the same range as him, just a couple picks. Actually, Couture goes ahead of him and Hurdle there. I would rather have Hurdle. I think he'll have better players to play with. Plus, Couture is hurt. That was Sean Couture. Where'd Logan Couture go? Logan Couture's hurt at the moment. He should have gone a little bit earlier. Oh yeah, there he is in the 15th round. I think I would rather have Hurdle. Oh, and to the same team. Two San Jose players. So just taking the value on the Sharks, nothing wrong with that. Anders Lee's he's a good shooter, volume shooter. The Islanders are super old now, man. They didn't do anything in the offseason. Not one thing. They released Josh Bailey, and that was it. They didn't do anything else. I don't like them as a playoff squad. I like the upside play here with Couturier, Logan Cooley, Nick Schmaltz, Lucas Raymond, maybe a bounce back for him, but he's not going to be the shooter on the line anymore. DeBrincat is. Domi, we talked about him potentially being in the top 6. He's going a little bit late. I have him as a bust in the draft kit just because of his ADP is really high in Yahoo and ESPN. And I think ultimately he's playing third line center. But right now, opening up the season against the Habs, his former squad, it sounds like he's going to play on the second line with Tavares and William Nylander. And that's a good spot to be. So at this point, in the 19th round, that's worth it for sure. Stevenson, great real life player, not a great fantasy player. Zuccarello, good value here. Love the Duchesne play. It's going to be an adjustment period for Duchesne. He's going to go from first line minutes in Nashville, first power play time, to third line and second power play in Dallas. But the stars are loaded. He's going to play with Sagan. Arvidsson, first power play for LA. He's an okay guy. He shoots the puck. Wyatt Johnson, great target. Marchenko to myself, 20 goals as a rookie. He's going to be up on that first line, I believe. And he's a really good player and a volume shooter. Brent Clark, I think he just got sent down, but it's a long season. And he's good, man. Canadian boy, was a big standout in World Juniors a couple years ago. And Jersey getting traded opens up a door for Clark. Maybe some PP2 time there. Barbashev's a good target. Kuznetsov, I'm fine with Kuznetsov here in the 19th, but I don't really want any shares. When I watch Kuznetsov play, it feels like he doesn't care at all. It feels like he's just out there for a Sunday stroll. And I've seen him live a couple times. He was great when the Caps won the Cup. He was unbelievable. He was fantastic. Then he got paid, and I don't know. I just felt like the drive. I tell you, I went to a Caps and Blues game on St. Patty's Day last year, and he was he just did not stand out to me at all. I was just not impressed with him. Lafreniere, we need the breakout. Need to see it from you. Luukkonen in there. Matt Roy, Dmitry Orlov to myself. Seth Jarvis is a late round pick here. First line on Carolina. That's a great pick. Way too late. I was snoozing, I guess. Kakkonen, Kako. The two Ranger guys here that have an opportunity to play inside the top 6. Only one of them are going to get it. I think Blake Wheeler will be on that first PP, and he'll be in a top 6 role. Love the Caden Gooley play here. A nice little hab. I have him written up as a deep sleeper in high stakes leagues. He's going to touch a lot of categories too. Second power play time is another World Junior standout for Team Canada a couple years ago. He likes to hit. He's going to block a lot of shots. The Habs are going to live in their end all year long, especially when the Suzuki line is not on the ice. Caden Gooley's a nice little, I like it. I dig it. It's a good little play there. Riley Smith is a good one too. He leaves the Misfits, wins the Cup with Vegas. He's good on the penalty kill. You get points for shorthanded goals. I think he had 3 or 4 shorthanded goals last year inside the top 2 or 3. He's going to open up the season, I think, playing with Sid the Kid. When Gensel comes back, he could stay. It could be Riley. It could be Smith, Crosby, and Gensel, and then Raquel, Russ, and Malkin. Or if it's not, Riley's on that second line with Malkin. He's going to have a good center to play with. Dustin Wolf here is as the fourth goalie here. Yeah, just a flyer. Pacioretty. I would bet Team 11 drops Pacioretty. There's no IR spots here in this draft. And Pacioretty is, he's recovering from his second torn Achilles. He came back last year, and he was awesome in the week and a half or 2 that he played for Carolina. Scored a bunch of goals. We were cashing in on some shot props, but then he tore his Achilles again. He's on a 1 year, $1 million deal, I do believe, with the Capitals. When he's healthy and he's going, he'll be a good player. We'll be talking about him, but it's hard to hold a guy like that until most likely January. It's hard. It's hockey, and I get it. Here is a late round flyer. He'll probably drop him in the first week and for a hot waiver wire pickup and Andre Burakovsky. All right, we're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna wrap up with just my squad and my thoughts on the squad here. All right, so Matthews here at the 4th spot. When I noticed that I had the 4th spot, I figured it was going to be Matthews. If I had a preference, of course, the way that I would rank it would be McDavid, Draisaitl, McKinnon, Matthews. I am still fine with Pasta here at that spot. And then I would go Jack Hughes. Then I would go Brady Tkachuk. Then I would go Matthew Tkachuk. Then I would go Mikko Rantanen. And then I would go Jason Robertson. Then I get into the goalies. So I'm not going to have a lot of shares of Shesterkin or Georgiev. I'm just not doing it ahead of those shooters and those forwards. But for me, Matthews, Tim Stützle, I think, can take his game to another level. Also sneaky in terms of hits leagues. I think he could score 40 and get 100 points. And, there's some talk out there. People think Josh Norris could take that number 1 spot. Josh Norris not healthy right now. Stützle has chemistry with Brady Tkachuk and Claude Giroux. I was thrilled, actually. I really like Elias Pettersson, who went after, but I was really, really happy with that start. Samsonov, happy to get him there too. A top 7 fantasy goalie last year, and roughly where I took him as 7, but in Yahoo, ESPN, he's going a little bit later than that. Yeah, Caps atmosphere, PTP. It was a good time. They were out of the game. It was St. Louis blew them out, and the Caps are already eliminated, but it was still a good time. Maybe it was because of St. Patty's Day. But I was surprised. Crowd was still pretty good. Vasilevsky here, as I said, people that are maybe just hanging out here for the first time, I just saw a couple people jump in. Vasilevsky, that was just, I'm fine with this pick. I would say don't do it in a high stakes league. It almost feels like a wasted pick. He's not going to be around for a couple months. I think I'll get by, but there could be a setback. The sound was off for me. I was chatting to you guys, and it took the next highest guy, and it was what it is. But if I could take it back, I would have gone probably Braden Point or DeBrincat or Forsberg. Kyle Connor in here. So continuing a theme of shooters, I got a lot of shooters here. Matthew Stützle, Kyle Connor, Rupe Hintz, Adrian Kempe, Valerie Nichushkin. Didn't see a whole lot from him last year, hurt, but this is a really good player, and the Avs are pretty strong up front in the top 6. I don't know if PP1 time's a lock there, but I would say he'll get it. Devin Levi had to get a third goalie here. Goalies were, coming high and steady here. If I could pick a third, I'd like to live in the Schmid Copley range as a third goalie, but I didn't know if they would be back, and just taking a look at, they wouldn't have been. So if I didn't go Levi there, I could have did Schmid, but Levi has the unknown ceiling. It's exciting. Is a nice young prospect. The Sabres are going to be one of the highest scoring teams in the NHL again this year. They haven't had good goaltending for years, since, I don't know, Ron Tugnut. I mean, Hasek, I guess. Hasek, he was right there. Hasek was awesome for them. But Ron Tugnut, Levi is a small sample size, but I think he's going to be fine. And hold the fort down for me for Vasilevsky. Matheson, talked a lot about him already, but touches a lot of categories. Usage, ice time, top 4 in ice time over the last 6 weeks of the season, inside the top 10 in shot attempts, shots, high danger chances, and points among defensemen. Really good player, man. Good skater. I think he's a top 15 upside. Would like him to be my second defenseman. He's my first. Carter Hart, just a plain bats. Just give me the bats. It's another just drop the ball. Just didn't know. Yeah, just trying to host the show and this waste. I just feel like with that pick, it's just a donation to the fellas into the group. So yeah. Morgan Riley there after Sean Dursey, so I had to go I wanted to go Drew Doughty there. I would have really liked this team if I could trade Hart for Doughty
You know, and I feel much better about my defenseman is Matthews the 1, or Matheson the 1, Doughty the 2, Morgan Riley, you know, doesn't have, he's a good player linked to good players around him. You hope that the power play one time is there, but a better real life defenseman than a fantasy defenseman. Sean Jersey, I think, is in for a breakout campaign. Love Zona, going to score some goals this year. He's going to be in that first power play. Rounded out with a lot of my targets that you could see in the kit. In fact, I think all of these guys, like Stutzel's a target, Connor, Hintz, Kempe, target, Matheson, target, Jersey, target, Bertuzzi, target, Suzuki, just, you know, soft spot. I think he's underrated. He's like to see him shoot. I said that a little bit more. Owen Power, upside, second defenseman, Velarde, target, Hayton, target, Marchenko, target. And we wrapped up with Orlov. We got to get out of here. It's been a long time. I'm surprised that people have hung out this long to watch this. But always appreciate you guys. You have any questions at all, you can hit me up. Maybe we'll do one more of these to kind of, maybe we'll do one more on Monday because I got to redeem myself. So maybe I'll do one more on Monday night. But one more thing before we get out of here, promo code FTN35 will save you $35 on a few more contests that are happening over at NFC. Thank you for that. FTN35. So they're having a draft on Saturday at 3 Eastern and 9 Eastern, one on Monday at 10 Eastern, which I think we'll do. I think we'll stream. I have an FSGA live draft on Monday, but I think that one is at 6 Eastern, another high stakes one. So why not? It'll be the last night to draft. Tuesday at 3 Eastern may not work for me. But for you guys, it will be the last one here, Rotowire Online Championship. So right before the season starts, FTN 35 will give you guys $35 off. And again, this was a Rotowire Online Championship, 12 teams, 20 rounds. Top 2 teams in each league will get paid out. Overall prize pool includes $6K. There's fab each week. We'll have weekly waiver wire articles for free over at ftnfantasy.com. And you got to start your lineup every week. You got, I don't know if I actually went over that with you guys. I think maybe at the start, but you got 7 forwards in your lineup, 3 defensemen, 2 goalies, and then you got 8 reserve spots. The scoring rules, 2 points for a goal, 1 for an assist, 1 for a power play goal, 1 for a shorthanded goal, 0.25 for shots, 0.25 for hits, 0.25 for blocks, half a point bonus for a defenseman goal, and then 0.25 for a bonus for an assist. That's new, which I think makes a lot of sense, right? We talked about Gudis and Larson and Trouba, you know, having more fantasy points per game in this format last year than a Quinn Hughes and an Adam Fox. Now it pushes these skilled defensemen up higher, and that's the way things should go. You get 0.15 for a save, 4 for the win, -1 for the goal, 2 for the shutout, 2 for the overtime loss, and 2 for the shootout loss there as well. And you got a top overall prize of $1,400. All right, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks. We're out of here. Have a good one. Cheers.
Hi, I'm Chris from Greenwood, and this is My Nova Scotia. Enjoy amazing live music around Halifax at the TV Halifax Jazz Festival, July 8th to the 16th. From July 17th to the 24th, it's the Halifax Pride Festival. And if you're like me, you can never get enough golf. It's the best way to see some of Nova Scotia's most beautiful scenery. Visit novascotia.com to plan your vacation. Our greens are awesome. So when are you coming?